Hello, hello, everybody. Lottie Dottie, and everybody. We pray that you are doing well. Pray that you're strengthened today, for this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. We're excited about today's straight talk. Got to try to get this right. We're gonna have a lot of questions today. We got a lot to say. Many of you, we started it off today in the on my page. And we're going to be talking today with one of President Donald Trump's friends and possibly colleagues. And we're going to be talking about the Democratic vote, the Republican vote. We hope that one of you, as American citizens, have voted and will vote and will vote. And we pray that you be able to exercise your right to vote. All right. And we're going to have some, hopefully, get on here with your questions. Now, when we talk about good things, and everybody's opinion should be respected, everybody has an opinion. Most of the time, the opinion is based upon their historical facts or something that someone has told them. So today's, we want to make sure, share this, we want to make sure the numbers get up, and we want to make sure we are respectful with others' opinions, specifically as believers. We want to make sure we honorable, and we have some great things ahead of us. So Pastor Mark Burns is going to be with us. We're going to bring him in, our friend and brother, beautiful family, beautiful wife, and we're excited about them, and we're excited about what God is doing. The Lord connected us years back at the Impact Network to Apostle Wayne T. Jackson. And today I wanted to bring him on with such a hot conversation. I know a lot of people are out on Saturday, but they replay it, and they get into it. So we're going to bring Pastor Burns in and getting to talk to our brother. How you doing, Pastor?
Great to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Praise God.
You're looking good. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Honored to be here.
We're going to jump right into it. Tell them a little bit about yourself. We're going to jump right into it because a lot of people, as of today, have so much to have so many questions and have so much to say about our presidential election. I think it's going to be a very historical election. And we as a people have a proclivity and propensity to be sort of emotional and not listen to the facts. So I thought it would be put on my platform, and more will come and see. I know today is Saturday and most people are out, but they're going to watch to hear it from someone that, visits the White House frequently, been on Air Force One, spent time with the president, spent time with his cabinet. I thought it would be better if they could hear it from you themselves and make their own mind up, because I feel, I will share my opinion a little bit more. I feel that many of our people, particularly African Americans, we vote Democrat and we don't even know why. We just do something. And the Democrats know that, and they just take advantage of our vote and, never visit our churches, never visit our city. And I think we have been socially engineered because of the party. I don't think the party really has helped us any. But we get into more of that. So I wanted to just introduce yourself, and we asked the audience to have a couple of questions. So go ahead.
Well, first of all, Bishop May, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to get to talk to you on your platform, and thank you for the wonderful things that you are doing and have done in the body of Christ. Like you said, we've known each other for a couple of years now, and I followed your path, and God's blessed you on the things that you've done in reference to social justice. And so, thank you, sir, for what you've done. This is a very important conversation, Bishop. And to be honest with you, it's happening literally all over the United States of America, and particularly the African American vote. This is by far the most influential the African American vote has had in an election since President Barack Obama. And it's amazing how we run some very interesting numbers, how even now, and again, this is coming not from CNN or from any other mainstream media, but this is from real data, that I'm privy and have access to, we are knocking at 13, 14% in some areas in reference to the black vote, just like in Pennsylvania. Right now, we're at 15% of black support in Pennsylvania. That is historic. Again, of course, and what you're saying is absolutely true. I voted Democrat. It's very well documented that my stance on supporting President Barack Obama for both elections, and of course my entire adulthood life has been supporting the Democratic Party. But to be honest with you, and for those that are watching and those who are or who will be watching, the Democratic Party of the Progressive Baptist Church or the National Baptist Church or even the Democratic Party of Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King, is not the Democratic Party of today. And they're not really fighting for the social issues to advance our people, which is why so many blacks in America have really sitting back and looking at and say, listen, I vote Democrat, but why exactly do I vote Democrat? What exactly politically, not emotionally, but politically, what are some of the policies that can advance my family, advance my children? And so that's forcing a lot of black people to take a strong look at what the Democratic Party has to offer other than the days of the civil rights movement. President Trump has come on the scene, and clearly we both know. I'm very blessed to know him, and was just on the phone with him about 4 days ago. Had the chance to speak with him about another matter that we're doing for the black community. We will be making announcements of that pretty soon after this election, but I do know there's an additional $250 million of investment that's going to be coming into the black communities, and we'll talk more about that as we go. It's coming from Africa, but I'm a part of that team of creating that policy, even now for the president. But the question we have to really begin to ask ourselves: what exactly are we as a people are getting out of supporting just one party? Reverend Al Sharpton, whom I know and he's a very dear friend of mine. I've grown to really respect him, even though we on completely different aisles of the aisles. I have so much respect for him because he took me in, and he said to me, Pastor Burns, I want you to know this. He said, listen, never forget, we're on two different sides, but never forget that we are both on the same team. Right. And we need your voice. He said to me, he said, ignore those folks that call you Uncle Tom or Coon or sell out. He said, we as a black people need to have representation on both sides of the aisle. And for that has been one of the strengths that has kept me to move forward, to know that I am doing something for my people, even though a lot of my own people don't even understand why we're doing it. But President Trump has been, without question, and again, I people who just don't know, and I'm going to share some of it today, Bishop, what the president is doing and what he's going to do, because a lot of it just never makes mainstream media. It never makes the noise, and it's never echoed. But for those of us Black Americans who are siphoning through the noise, and you're beginning to see realistically the policies that are happening right here in America, like the President Trump has a 5-pronged attack that he's done just for our people. And you didn't really hear this, even with President Barack Obama. You did not hear this. And it's not because he was not Black enough. It was because he was the head of a party that really does not go after our community, not just for the votes, but really for the policies. President Trump has an economic policy that has really boomed in the Black community. I mean, the fact that he's built the most inclusive economy in American history, and what's provided Black Americans with access to capital. And what people don't understand is that Black employment has increased to 1.3 million in the past 5 months. Last 5 months, in the midst of COVID, 1.3 million have increased. The very fact that 4 out of 10 Black Americans lost their jobs in the pandemic, but it took the previous administration about 2 years, 23 months to recover the same that it took President Trump within months back in the 2008-29 recession. Most people don't know that President Trump created a White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council. You don't even hear about the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council that houses some of America's most Black voices, senior Black voices that are sole job is to help communicate with the Trump administration about some of the issues that are plaguing our communities. Out of this comes the legislation called opportunity zones, and I'm sure you and others understand what opportunity zones are. But
Right.
just out of opportunity zones, you're looking at nearly 9,000. Get this, Bishop, 9,000 economical distressed communities have been affected by these opportunity zones. Those are our communities. That's our people. 9,000 communities across the country. At the end of 2019, Apostle, you've had $75 billion, $75 billion of funds that have been driven to these communities. And again, we're talking about communities that our people live in. Our people have been impacted by it. That's $52 billion of new investments that has hit our communities. That created over 500,000 new Black jobs, a Bishop. We're talking about, again, this stuff don't ever hit the mainstream media. Because again, Trump is the most racist president that you'll ever have, and it is deployed to really keep our people fighting over issues that doesn't really bring a real solution to our community. We're talking about access to capital. We're talking about real becoming business owners, and not just getting jobs, becoming and not just receiving checks, but signing checks. And this is exactly one of the top priorities for President Trump has had. And so the opportunity zones have created 500,000 new jobs right here in our communities across this nation. And you won't hear people talk about it. One other thing that President Trump has done, and we just had a great conversation about this about 2 months ago, but it's the reactivation of the MDBA. And most people don't know what the MDBA is, and I know you do. The Minority Business Development Agency. This is massive. People know that just back in September, President Trump just made the announcement, and I was there with him in Atlanta when he committed to a new $500 billion to go back into the Black community businesses. We're talking about creating new $500 million new Black-owned businesses. And we're not just talking about, again, creating jobs. We're talking about creating Black-owned businesses. That's $500 billion that's going to be just specifically designed to create 500,000 new Black-owned businesses, so that we as Black owners can hire our own people from our own community. A lot of this is done through the MDBA, the Minority Business Development Agency. People don't know that this even exists. Most Black businesses don't even know this exists. We do know this, that under President Barack Obama, the MDBA was reduced significantly in size. There used to be minority business development agencies, offices spread throughout the country. Under President Barack Obama, and I know we don't like to talk negative about our dear beloved first Black president. And again, I honor him as the history that he holds. I'm going to forever be thankful that he became the 44th president of the United States of America, and you can't take that away from us. So you don't ever hear me trash his name, but the policies that his party pushed and his party platform led, and he was in charge, or actually the leader, still is the de facto leader of the Democratic Party, was not really advancing Black people in this country. Why in the world would our Black president, significantly decreased the Minority Business Development Agency? Offices closed throughout the country, hundreds of offices that are sole job is to take businesses like mine, businesses like yours, and businesses to those who are watching this broadcast, to make sure that we gain access to the capital that's designed just for us. Under President Barack Obama and in the Democratic-led presidency, we understand that over $257 billion was set aside for government contracts. Now, these are numbers. These are not This is not conspiracy. This is not emotionalism. This is pure factual numbers. It's all public information.
Right.
$257 billion is given out annually in government contracts. President Nixon, under my dear friend Dr. Bob Brown, who is a legend and who's still alive today, he's a legend in politics, especially in the Republican Party. He's one of the most people who should go look up Dr. Bob Brown. He was the spearhead of the Nixon administration and how so many Black people gained ahead, how the NDBA was even created under Dr. Bob Brown, based in North Carolina platform. But the MDBA was created with the sole purpose to gain businesses like yours, Bishop, businesses like those who are watching this broadcast, people of color, sole job to gain access to 10% of the government contract that is issued out. This started back in the 70s. All right. So out of 257 billion, 10% of that is solely designed just for Black businesses. That's just over $27 billion that Black owned businesses, government 8A, those who are listening to this, you need to write this down because I'm giving you wisdom. If you don't know what this is, you need to be paying attention to what I'm saying. You need to become an 8A government, 8A company. Contact your lawyer or contact your local MBDA office, or just contact the MBDA agency, Minority Business Development Agency, and let them know that you want to be an 8, the number 8, and A as an alpha. You need to become an 8A business entity in America so that your business can compete for the 10% of government contractual money that is out there. Now, unfortunately, in the last 8 years before President Trump, less than 1% of that 10% was actually issued out to Black owned businesses. That's only 250 something million dollars out of 27 billion that was designed to go to us Black owned businesses. So while we're marching for stuff that don't affect our bottom line, we should be marching for why in the world we're not getting the 10% that President Nixon, and it is law for us to be receiving as Black owned businesses. Have you ever heard of a company called Ebony Magazine?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a company called Jet Magazine? How they got started? Ask President Nixon how they got started. 8A program. Matter of fact, if you love a company, if you love eating the chips called Pringles, I don't know if you know what Pringles are. I love Pringles. Well, did you know that a Black owned business, they package Pringles, right? Companies worth over $500 million in Oklahoma. Black brother, Black Republican. All right. So the point is, we need to become educated.
Right.
It is bigger than just emotionalism and social justice, and all those things are important. They absolutely are important. Racism does exist. I hate when people in the media say, "Oh, Pastor Burns says racism doesn't exist." That's a lie. You hear it from the horse's mouth. I've never said that. Never. What I am telling you is the fact that we're focusing on wrong things sometimes. We need to be focusing on things that's going to help create new jobs for our people, create new opportunities for our people, and let us be competing for the money that's available for us as Black owned businesses. If you're not an 8A program, if you're not an 8A government, if you're not an 8A certified business, then you cannot even compete. And it could be something as small as being if you own a barbershop. You know how many money that the government spends just to make sure that men and women have their haircuts across this nation. And your company could be one of the companies, your Black owned company who will be top of the list, could be one of those companies that would get a $1.8 million contract to make sure that those haircuts are being facilitated. Even cutting grass, landscaping. We're not just
Wow.
talking about the big major IT program businesses out there. But while we screaming and yelling and marching and all of that is important, you're not learning and becoming educated on how we really take over our community. And that is having black owned businesses led by black people, hiring black employees, giving
So,
people who
Pastor,
wouldn't have an opportunity.
So, Pastor, that's a wealth of information, and you all need to share this. Tune in, stop what you're doing. I know you're shopping. Some people say I want to watch later. No, you need to get into this. That's a wealth of information to understand that, and I'm sure many of you had no idea about an 8A government program and that could bless your life. Because sometimes we always praying for things, and sometimes faithful our works is dead. We got to take action. We got to take
Yeah,
action on what has been provided for us. So these are the type of things and so many times, the business and the media, it's fake news. It is fake news. The media controls the narrative. Even with this
yes,
COVID-19, they never say how many people have been healed or how many overcame COVID. They just project fear that this dead, this one has died, and this one. So the media, cannot be our only source analysis. We have to have entities. We have to have Mark Burns in the White House. We have to have these people in the White House so they can bring us this wealth of information to transform our life. We have been marching and burning candles and going to
hmm,
candlelight visuals for 50, 400 years. We have to do something different. And I'm
yeah,
saying this that most of our communities today are ran by government or democratic controlled government. And I'm saying to myself, something has to change. And so, Pastor Barnes, I know a lot of people are going to get on me. I know they want to ask you some tough questions. Number one, they're going to ask you. This is really not, as a professional basketball player, as a college Division One basketball player, I learned to matriculate. I learned to play. I learned to be teammates with anybody. And one thing, regardless how we felt off the court, when we got on the court, we were brothers, regardless if you're white or black, or Asian or whatever. And this is what we as Americans got to learn to find a niche to learn to fight together. We might not always agree together. Black folk, white folk, we may not always agree. We cannot change history. History is a fact. We cannot change history. We only can project and change our tomorrow. And I often say you were born looking like your parents, but when you die, you look like your decision. So what is your decision going to be when you go and vote? And the decision has to be more critical, not based on some morality or what we think or what they should and should not do based on the divorce. We should vote based on, number one, as kingdom citizens, who's going to stand hold to the principles of godliness as it relates to abortion, as it relates to same-sex marriage, as it relates to things that, that matters to God. And so those have to be critical key points for kingdom-minded citizens. You should be a kingdom-minded. You shouldn't be part of the kingdom. Okay. And number two, people want to know flat out. You've been with the White House, you've been to the Air Force One, you've been around President Trump. They want to know, is President Trump a racist? Just flat out, is President Trump a racist? That's what they want to know.
well, again, everything you're saying in reference to the racist part, I 100% agree with you, Bishop. The reality of it is, we really have to become educated. Now, to answer the question for those who are watching this broadcast, I'm a black man from the deep South here in South Carolina. I think you're based in North Carolina. Am I correct?
Right,
So you and I are in brother sister states here. So
right,
we're both technically in the deep South. I've
right,
been here my entire life. My wife, the world as they know, is a white woman, and
right,
we have seven beautiful mixed brown babies. My father and his father, who both still alive, the era of the KKK. Um, um, Sticking a cross, a flaming cross, in my grandfather's yard when my father was a teenager because my grandmother was too light skinned and they thought my grandmother was a white woman. And so the KKK threatened to retaliate to my grandfather with a flaming cross in his yard to warn him to get away from that white woman until they discovered she was a mixed woman of herself. Uh, I know what real racism looks like. Bishop, you know what real racism look like. We may not march with Dr. King, but we're still from an era where our parents and our great and our grandparents, who in that era of what real racism dealt with. and it is not Donald Trump, and that is not a and if he really is a racist, he's literally be the worst one ever. I mean, he is a down to earth kind of a guy. I mean, if you would meet him and you would know him, you would see you would take within 5 minutes of you, not even 5 minutes, literally to know, because you've been around real racist people. And those who are watching this broadcast, you've been around real racist folks who don't like you because you're black, not because they had an upset stomach for the day, but they don't like you because of the color of your skin. And like the great Dick Gregory said, racism and prejudice are two different things. We think a lot of times what people have been racist, but they're prejudiced. You could be prejudiced and not racist, but racism is the prejudice is disliking you because of a certain attribute you have. All right. And some people don't like us because we're black. But racism, Dick Gregory said, and it was an eye-opening icon. He's going to be with the Lord now. We all know our dear brother, Dick Gregory, who was a world famous actor, but Dick Gregory and civil rights icon. But he said racism is when you have the ability to control one's destiny. That's what real racism is, that I have the ability, not prejudice. We're all prejudiced to a certain degree. We all
Right.
have prejudice in us. But when it comes to racism says that I have the ability to control your destiny, that I have you as a slave or I will have you in a box and you will only go in the direction that I allow you to go. Today, it is challenging for anybody in America to hold us as a people back from obtaining whatever we set ourselves out to be. Is it still challenging because racism and prejudice exist? Absolutely. But I know what real racism is, and it's not this guy Donald Trump. It is literally. I mean, it's comical that people even today still ask that question when you just look at the body of work that he's done. I mean, the reality of it is Donald Trump don't need the black vote to win an election. That's the truth. He didn't have it in 2016, and you don't necessarily need it in 2020. We want it. We want it because it's the right thing to do, not because we're trying to win a re-election, but because our people have been trodden down. We're still the economic lowest in the community. Hispanics have surpassed us, and we've been here longer. We spend and we don't own. But the fact that Donald Trump's administration has fought bigotry and racism head on, but it never makes the media. Most people don't even know about Operation Legend. The very fact that President Trump, through the Economic Council, Revitalization Economic Council, has hitting, causing the, challenging the federal laws that are not allowing for lynching to be a federal crime, a federal hate crime. That has been led by Donald Trump's administration. No other president has done that. Even our great black president, President Barack Obama, did not make it or even mandate it. And if it doesn't become law, it would be an executive order that the president will sign to make sure that lynching is considered a federal hate crime. It has not even been passed in Congress. And guess what, my brothers and sisters? Democrats control the Congress right now. You got the votes. Democrats got the votes. You got to ask yourself, how come Democrats are not making lynching a federal crime? Why isn't there a person in Alabama right now can hang a black person from a tree and it not be considered a federal crime?
Right.
Well, or drag him in the street and drag him in the country roads in Mississippi, that's happened a couple of years ago, and it not be considered a federal hate crime. It was President Trump who just declared the KKK and the KKK as a domestic terrorist group, meaning that now all of a sudden the FBI and all of the federal dollars that was designed to destroy the neo-Nazis and the hate crime and the KKK the federal dollars that was just reserved for the war on terror in Afghanistan and Iraq and in other parts in other Islamic-led countries that seek to do us harm is now been funneled in American task force to make sure that the KKK and any other white supremacy groups never come to any real power. And those dollars have been funded through those task force to make sure that those organizations are destroyed from the core. That's millions of dollars that was just tied up into dealing with things that happened overseas in the Middle East. But now President Trump, and only President Trump, has directed these dollars directed these dollars to combat domestic violence that is taking place against people of color in this country. People don't talk about that. What we want to talk about is Donald Trump a racist? Are you going to disavow white supremacy? Well, heck, look what the man did. Look what the man is doing. Forget what you're saying. I'm so many white politicians have been denouncing white supremacy since we've been alive, but they haven't been leading in the initiatives to helping our people.
Wow.
Ice Cube just said it a couple of days ago. Democrats have let us down. There's a reason why people in the Black community and at in the hierarchy of our community, especially business leaders, not just hip hop artists who have a one-hit wonder. We're talking about people who are invested in our community. And they're realizing that we've been hurting and we're voting one party. I just got finished telling your audience that Al Sharpton said to me, brother, we need you on the other side. Why would Al Sharpton, who's probably one of the most leading, if not the leading voice in civil rights in America today, to tell me who don't like Trump, and that's okay. That's okay, because at the end of the day, once President Trump is reelected, and he's going to be, right, after 4 years, we still got to fight. We still got to come up as a people. We got to deal with.
The question would be, I'm just asking hard questions as the the host. The question would be, they were asked, who was President Trump speaking to when he said stand by or stand, well, instead of stand but down or stand, I don't want to quote it, but they were talking to the Proud Boys.
Right.
They said he wouldn't denounce, so he said stand by. What is the etymology of that? What was he saying?
Well, I mean, he was talking to, now, for instance, the people who, again, the Proud Boys are not an organization full of white people. Matter of fact, the leader of the Proud Boy is a brown. He's brown. He's Hispanic. We talk about black and brown all the time. We say black and brown, and we incorporate our black and brown brothers and sisters all the time. The leader, the creator, the one that created the Proud Boys, Enrique Iglesias, he's a brown. He ain't white. He's a Hispanic brother. And yet, we want to talk about, the Proud Boys are, now listen, I can't speak for everybody. I know the leader personally,
Right.
and he texts me all the time. And I know him because he's very close with Roger Stone. As you know, for those, Roger Stone was arrested, and then finally the president got him out of that situation. He thanked me publicly on Fox News for being the spearhead of helping communicate that message to our president and get him out of that situation. And he lives to fight another day. But Enrique is very close with Roger Stone, and it is through those circles that I know the Proud Boys very intimately. My sons, my two black sons, have been in events where they were protected with me by the Proud Boys. These groups that are fighting against Antifa and those other violent organizations that are burning up our cities in the name of Black Lives Matter. And I want to be clear, Black Lives Matter don't burn up no cities. And so people don't get it.
Right.
Black Lives Matter don't burn up no cities. Antifa burns up cities. All right. These are white folks that are hiding and masking behind the movement that has been hijacked by socialist, liberal, anti-government organizations led by people like George Soros. And these are real dollars that have also been traced back to China. Again, none of this stuff doesn't hit the media. So while we're marching for Black Lives Matter, they ain't really caring about our goal. They just want to hide behind that. People want to attack Black Lives Matter. They attack Antifa. They want to attack Black Lives Matter. Well, Proud Boys are an organization that is saying, listen, if y'all gonna burn stuff, we're gonna defend our stuff. It's that simple. I've spoken at many events. Like I said, my two black sons, they were protected with me and Proud Boys. Protected by the Proud Boys while they were with me. And so for them to talk about, these racist, right-wing racists, or I can't speak for everybody that represents Proud Boys. Just like everybody, just like Black Lives Matter. unfortunately, you had some groups that were in the name of Black Lives Matter talking about we want to burn police and kill the pigs. Well, Black Lives Matter came out and said, no, that wasn't us and they didn't represent us. But you can't control everybody, who says they're with my organization, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's the same thing. I know the real Proud Boys, the ones that President Trump was talking about. And he was essentially saying those people, Antifa, are violent. They're violent. They're tearing down, burning our communities. He's essentially saying, I'm not going to sit back and let that happen under my watch. That's all he was saying. But people who don't know Proud Boys.
Well, I'm not going to hold you too long. We got about 23 more minutes. I feel like this. I'm a young man. I had a great high middle class life. I played professional basketball, recruited about 400 something colleges at one time. My son was the sixth in the nation to score, graduated from Delaware State University. My son Amani is at North Carolina A&T. He was Mr. North Carolina, Mr. A&T. My son Amir loves President Trump. He just loves. He said because it shows hope that someone that's not. First of all, he said if he was going to run, he was going to win, and he did. We don't. Our household don't care what others think. We don't. We are our own individual thinkers. And then I showed you a picture one time. He was in Mexico playing professional basketball, and he said they didn't know I voted for Trump. It was a little joke. But anyway, they actually cut him off the team because he put that. So make sure you tell President Trump that Amir got cut from the team because he said he was in Mexico and said they didn't know he voted for Trump. But I have a friend, Scotty Shaver. And once we get through, once we get through this election, I would like to talk to you and the president and others. We're from a small West Michigan town called South Haven. My friend, I feel, was railroaded, and he's doing life in prison. And so many of our friends and brothers have been victimized by the system, even dealing with the cocaine laws, the crack cocaine, even dealing with marijuana. What do you know, factual, that this president can do to send our black men home? Yes, you do it if you're a criminal, you did something and you're guilty, fine. But everybody that's in prison is not guilty. Some people have conspiracy cases where two informants wanted lesser time and they snitched on them and they end up getting 10 and 20 years for crimes that they didn't even find guns for. Or right. they're doing 20 and 30 year sentences for marijuana, not marijuana is legalized.
Right.
And so
right.
my friend got caught up in a life sentence, Scotty Shaver, and he's fighting, and things with the documents were fraudulent. The stamped testimonies were fraudulent. And I think America, if we're going to make America great, we have to be in the posture, because some people feel like America has never been great to them. We have to be in a posture where we can sometimes make some of these wrongs right. And one of the leading cause will be recidivism, trying to stop our black males from going back to prison. I penned a book, The Influence of a Father. 73% of our fathers are not in the home, and our black male fathers or our black children are being raised by single parent mothers, not because they don't want to be fathers. It's because they literally has been taken out of the home due to the welfare system, and they can't be in the home, quote unquote, if they're on the system, et cetera, et cetera. So what can we do to get these brothers that's rightfully due to swing those prison doors open and to give them another chance? How can we do this prison reform? We even with the former Gangster Disciples chairman Larry Hoover, who is from Chicago. The Chicago streets, more murders were committed under President Obama than any president. But how can we get these voices back into our community to help organize and restructure our community from a male perspective?
Well, first of all, very, very important question that you asked, and I do hope to meet the former Gangster disciple leader that you mentioned, because there's so much more that we can do. Most people don't even know of the historic, especially our people, the historic criminal justice reform bill that President Trump signed into law that was praised by both Democrats and Republicans. Most people don't know that he signed the groundbreaking First Step Act. And the whole purpose of the First Step Act was to essentially help get those that you're talking about out of jail. And not only that, those who are getting out of jail, which was these marijuana charges, which was led by Democrats, my brothers and sisters. Go back, look at the 1994 crime bill. We got to educate ourselves. Even with Kamala Harris, she was great at putting a lot of us in prison in California on the same charges that you're talking about while she was a state attorney. But 1994 crime bill put the 1994 crime bill signed by Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, who was in the Senate at the time. Okay, while we're praising and we're shouting, we want Biden to win and we want
And
Kamala
may
to
I
win.
add this? Joe Biden, a couple of days said he made a mistake. So therefore, if he made a mistake, why not free those men that was in prison? It's no
That's
need
what.
to just say I messed up. Forgive me.
Yeah,
Turn up the cheek. Let's get along. No, 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 no. Right your wrong. Right your
exactly.
wrong, and then we can forgive you. We can't just forgive you because it's time for us to vote for you. If you
Right.
said you made a mistake and you confess to that, you need to right your wrong. And I think as a people, we need to take our emotions out of it and hear the conversation and not hear
Absolutely.
anything with our emotions. We are, black folks, period. We emotional, period. We just,
Yeah, we are.
we got to take our emotions. We got to take them. See, and that's one of the things I think I was well rounded. My grandfather, he taught me I can talk to a racist. If you're racist, fine. That's you racist. I don't care what you feel about me. I know what I feel about me. All right. If you're
Right,
black
right,
and you envy me, I don't care what you feel about me. I know what it's not the white man's responsibility. It's not the black man's responsibility to take care of Mary and Amani. It's my responsibility to take care of my children. I'm not looking for somebody to. And I hate that concept from African Americans. We vote based upon who can help us. Get
right.
your big greasy self up and help yourself. I don't need I don't need President Trump to give me water and feed me so hey to drink. No, no, show me where you're fishing so I can fish along beside you.
Exactly,
That's a
exactly.
mentality. But
Yeah,
that's a mentality. And once we wake up to that concept, I think we need to he said it himself. It wasn't it was his own campaign. He said, I messed up, I signed that bill. Well, if he signed that bill, he needs to wrong his rights and apologize and take it back to the Senate and say we need to release at least 1 million men.
and that's what President Trump has done with the First Step Act. Most people don't even know. 3,000 Americans have been released from prison, my dear brother. 3,000 Americans have been released from prison. 90% of those people that have been released from prison, and we're talking about wrongs that was done wrongs that was done disproportionately just to black people that harmed African Americans in this country, crimes that were designed to destroy African Americans. 3,000 of them so far have been released because of the First Step Act. 90% of those people are Black Americans in this country. 90% of those that have been released or had their sentences reduced are African Americans. President Trump has signed, pardon a host of Black people that has been disproportionately. One of them was Jack Johnson. We don't even know our dear one of our boxing legends, Jack Johnson.
Right.
How he how he had his sentence overturned. Angela Stanton, Alice Johnson. Again, pardon. The president understands that the current criminal justice system had to be challenged under President Barack Obama, under Bill Clinton, and again will be under Joe Biden, who wants to reinstall some of those same practices that has put over 1 million Black fathers in prison today. And President Trump, and not only that, this is what's so beautiful about the First Step Act, which is also called the Second Chance Hiring. Most people don't know the Second Chance Hiring. Write that down. You at home that are watching this, called Second Chance Hiring. The whole purpose is to make sure that when people get out of prison, that they are able to get real jobs, not just McDonald's or car washing, but getting real federal jobs
Now
within
they
the
asked,
federal
what is that
government.
called again? Second
It's
chance?
called Second Chance Hiring. Second
Okay.
Chance Hiring. You need to look into Second Chance Hiring because it has been promoting where it's hiring African Americans and people back when they get released so they can rejoin our communities. All of this is done under President Donald Trump with one hand tied behind his back, affecting our community the most, while our community is hating on him the most. It is not about votes. It's simply about the right. He would look at me. He would say, "It's the right thing to do, Pastor. It's the right thing to do. It's not about votes. It's simply the right thing to do for our people who have been wronged in this country, and we need leaders who will be right. Listen, if Donald Trump was a Democrat, he would be the most loved president since Barack Obama by our people. That's a fact.
That's so true. And that's what we really need to do. So many of us they condemn us and they talk about, oh, here come these Christians again. And what is the plan as it relates to abortions? We never talk about it, but there's more Planned Parenthood offices in our African American communities than any most of the communities in the nation. And no
Yes.
one's speaking on that. No one's talking about that. And
Right.
it's a lot of things, and we talk about a spiritual concept. A lot of things happen in the womb. That's the first beginning of life. The way your mother feels,
Yes.
the way your mother eats, the nutrition she eats will determine that's what the baby eats, and what she fears, that's what the baby fears. Even if we talk in scripture, God told Jeremiah, "I ordained you in your mother's womb." We understand
Hmm.
when Elizabeth and Mary connected. The Bible said John leaped in the womb. So
Right.
there is life in the womb. And how did this people say, well, a woman should have the right to do what she wants with her body. Well, that's the case. A woman can't go and kill her living children. You can't just
Hmm.
murder because you're having a bad day and just kill yourself and your children. It would be egregious. Why
Right.
not have the baby, give the baby up for adoption? But as believers, we cannot support abortion. I mean,
No.
I just not as a believer. Maybe you want to be something else, but this is just cross white babies, black babies, Jews. But we cannot uphold the murdering of our babies.
Right.
And,
Right.
and I think this is very important as it relates to even in this nation and what we get ready to face.
Bishop, what you're saying is absolutely the truth, and it saddens me to how so many leaders, especially Black leaders in the church, have turned a blind eye to this, and they're more concerned about whether or not Donald Trump is a racist, and not the fact that he supports life, he supports marriage between man and woman, and he supports religious freedom and liberty. What most people don't know is that Franklin Graham and I had this conversation about how even now there's a bill on the floor led by Democrats, our Black love supporting Democrats. Now, I want all my Black brothers and sisters who are in the church to really listen to what I'm saying to you, because while you praising the Democrat Party, you also are praising this initiative. Franklin Graham had a conversation about how even now Democrats are leading an initiative to change the wording from freedom of religion to freedom of worship. I need you to hear me very clearly. From freedom of religion to freedom of worship. They want to change the wording and the verbiage. Now, if this ever passed, which I believe one day it will pass because we know Revelation is going to come to pass. But right now, it is already on the floor. It's already been circulated amongst Democrat leaders. If they change the wording from freedom of religion to freedom of worship, then freedom of worship simply means that you can worship the Lord Jesus all you want to, but you're only legally able to worship him within the confines of your place of worship. You
Wow.
cannot call upon the name of Jesus in public anywhere else. Right now, we are protected by the freedom of religion, which gives us the right to where we cannot be discriminated against based off of our faith. But Democrat-led bill, a Democrat-led ideology, led by liberals, even right now, that are wanting to change the word freedom of religion to freedom of worship. Not only that, of course, we understand, and that's one that we don't talk about a lot, but it's very true. So while my Black brothers and sisters in the pulpit preaching how much racist Trump is, you're quietly missing out that the very group that you're supporting, and there's a reason why 87%, according to the AP poll, 87% of atheists in America consider themselves Democrats. 87% of atheists in America identify themselves with the Democratic Party. Okay, so the whole agenda around the new movement of the Democratic Party, not the Democratic Party of Dr. Martin Luther King and Dr. and Robert Abernathy and Megan Everett, who was assassinated in Mississippi. Not the brothers and sisters who were leading the Montgomery Improvement Association. Now, listen, for my black brothers and sisters, I know my black history, so don't confuse me for folks who just up there talking stupid. Okay, that's just my black brothers and sisters who don't know me. But for my brothers and sisters who led the Christian, the Southern Christian, the coalition, these civil rights leaders would be rolling in their grave over the current Democratic Party, because that is not the party of our community that led us to where we are today. And so while we're shouting and celebrating on how racist Donald Trump is, and that's a tactic of the Democratic Party to remind us how Republicans are racist, that's a constant tactic. We are missing out on agendas that are sneaking its way in the halls of Congress, that are stating that we want to change the word from freedom of religion to freedom of worship. Not only that, we understand that abortion, Planned Parenthood was created and orchestrated by a friend of Hitler and KKK KKK speaker, main speaker, Margaret Sanger. I'm pretty sure those who are watching this broadcast understand this. The whole purpose of Planned Parenthood, created by Margaret Sanger, who was a friend of Hitler, she also was a keynote speaker at many KKK massive rallies, was to eliminate the black community, to slow down the black community, the production of the black community. It is very well documented. It is not a conspiracy. And what has happened is, abortion was designed to get black women who were pregnant to not have to give them an option to get rid of their child. And that is how the birth of Planned Parenthood was created. And guess what? It is proven to be true, because as of 2019, there were more black babies murdered using abortion in New York than was born in the entire United States of America. Go look at the data.
Wow.
Go look at the numbers. But yet we, the preachers, the black preachers, our community is very religious. We're very conservative, but we're turning a blind eye to understanding that you support a party that that murders our own people. Black babies, black doctors. How many more black Barack Obamas that we could have, but they never made it? When those of us in the church, like you just declared, God knew us before he formed us in the womb of the mother. We know that God communicates to us in the womb. How in the world could you even vote Democrat? Because you're not focusing on the fact that these people are murdering our babies, which is the number one reason why Donald Trump was elected in the first place, and why he's going to be reelected again. Because it's simple. It is not by accident that God has chosen this man who is not part of our church. He's not a part of the Christian coalition.
See, that's what people have to understand. He's not a part of our church. He's not a part of the Christian coalition, but yet God is using him for the benefit of his people.
Exactly. And that's what, but let me say this. What's amazing is this. Most presidents never get to choose a Supreme Court justice. It is not an accident, my dear brother, that God has allowed this man, with all his jacked up marriages. Now, if you meet his children, you discover he's an amazing daddy. If you know his children, you would know that and us fathers, you know what I'm talking about. If you meet his children, he may not be the best when it comes to marriage. When it comes to being a father, when he's told his children, you ain't drinking. Eric tell me, you ain't. Daddy said, Daddy won't let us drink. Daddy wouldn't let us smoke. Daddy, we can't even cuss. There's no cursing in our household as children. But it is not by accident that this crazy man, those who may consider crazy, has been allowed to choose not one, but 3 Supreme Court justices at this time. that is placing 3 conservative Supreme Court justices that believes in life, so that we might just very well possibly overturn Roe v. Wade that kills way more Black children that are born in America, that are born in this country. That's fact. And we, the Black church, support those initiatives. That's what's sad. That's what's dangerous.
Wow, Pastor. Well, so our time has went on, and we're so glad to thank you that you came on. And
honored to be here. Very
what
honored.
God is doing. Bless you and your wife, and bless all the initiatives. And we thank God for you. Now, one more thing before you go, we want to make sure we get these Black businesses that money to them. Because so many times it's not that Black people doesn't have vision. It's not that they don't have talent, gifts. It's not they don't have ideas for entrepreneurship. They don't have backing, particularly in the Black church, the Black business. A lot of even the Black church, they can't compete with other white organizations because they don't have the resources. But today you gave a wealth of information. You said that was what you said, the 8-4. What was that?
You need to be 8A. 8A. Yes, it need to be an 8A program so you can compete for the government contracts. Richard Nixon declared when he was running for president that he was going to make 100 Black millionaires. And he did that. He made 100. We don't talk about that because, the whole Watergate scandal, but Richard Nixon was, without question, up until President Trump, the most president that advanced Black people in this country. We got Black generals because of Richard Nixon. We have there were 2 Black car lots in America at the time, in the 70s, mid 70s. And after, through Dr. Bob Brown, my dear brother, who's also based in North Carolina, you need to meet him. He's a genius. He actually helped Nelson Mandela become freed. He was the American representative to help the conversation of helping Nelson Mandela. He was the very first person to see Nelson Mandela right when he was released from Roberts Island. And they wouldn't even let outside people visit him. He was one of the few people. He the one who was with Winnie throughout the whole process. But this brother's a wealth of information. He's still alive. Should be honored even more than he is. But he was the tip of the spear that created some of these policies that are happening right now in America under President Trump. He was the tip of the spear for leading all those initiatives under Richard Nixon. And they done it through government contracts. That's why we have 10%. But we got to be educated. You need to become an 8A program, whatever business you're in. I don't care if it's cutting grass, whatever it is, become an 8A program, 8A program government so you can gain access to this money. Wouldn't it be great for those of you that are watching this? We talk about my miracles coming, my miracles coming, my miracles coming. Dr. Mike Murdock, my spiritual father, oftentimes says this, and they've said it to so many people. When we pray for a miracle, God then gives us an instruction. Well, I'm giving you an instruction right now. Become an 8A program. And wouldn't it be great for you to get a $1 million 30-year note at 1%? That's less than $2,200 a month. You get a $1 million government loan at 1% interest and a 30-year note. They're out there.
Well, brother, thank you for that wealth of information. It's all positive here. We didn't came on here, no arguing and none of that madness. And I look forward to our team and working with you and the president to get some of these men home. And prophetically, God's going to do something. So God bless you, brother. Thank you for your time. And you'll sit there and tell your beautiful wife hello and your family.
She's right here beside me. God bless you.
God bless. All right, bless.